All right, in this video, we're going to be looking at acid-base conjugate pairs, how to identify them, and how to answer them. So we got only one right here today. Free response question. It says carbon dioxide reacts with water to form H2CO3, which is carbonic acid, which quickly ionizes in water to form HCO3 minus and H3O plus, which are hydronium, as shown in the following equation. Identify one of the conjugate acid-base pairs in the equation above. This is a pretty typical question I've seen on the AP test. They just ask you to identify a pair and just write the two. Now, for me, I'm just going to look at both of them and identify both of them. So we have either an acid or base right here, and we have a conjugate acid or base here. Remember, acids and bases are always on the left. Their conjugate pairs are on the right side. So when I approach this, I probably want to identify which species is connected to each other. In this case, the H2CO3 and the HCO3 minus are a pair. The only difference between these two species is one proton. Then the other pair would have to be the water and the hydronium. If you can just identify which species go together, you can already answer this question. You just choose one of the two. I'll just write one right here, H2CO3 and HCO3 minus. These are acid-base conjugate pair. Or you could have written H2O and H3O plus. These are both acid-base conjugate pairs. Now I'm going to take it a step further and actually identify it so that we understand which one is which. Now, since the H2CO3 to HCO3 minus lost a proton, or in other words, it donated a proton based on the Bronsted-Lowry, this would be the acid, and this would be a conjugate base. This becomes a conjugate base because now it has a spot where it lost a proton where it can accept a proton. Remember, bases accept protons, acids donate protons, which means, one last thing, the water acts as a base, and the H3O minus, or hydronium, acts as a conjugate acid. It has now gained an extra proton that it can then donate as a conjugate acid. So there we go. In answering these questions, once again, you just have to identify a pair. And if you can just identify which species is losing a proton or gaining a proton, and they match each other, they're just off by one proton, you can identify an acid-base pair like this. This question doesn't even ask to explain which one's acid or base. I just did that on my own just so that you guys understood how to recognize and answer which one is which. Now, a multiple choice question might have you do that, but most short answer questions I've seen just ask you to identify them. So, oops.